Hey, what's going on, everybody? Tim here, the Frugal Travel Guru, also known as the Greyhound Guru, back with another video. And in today's video, I wanted to answer a question, once again, that I get in the comment section a lot. I have kind of touched on this and answered this in other videos, but I wanted to talk about it specifically in this video, and that is the question of, is the Greyhound bus safe for women traveling alone? Is the Greyhound bus safe for solo female travelers? Now, if you've never watched any of my videos before, I've traveled extensively on Greyhound. I've done lots of cross-country trips on Greyhound, 2-3 days. So in those travels, I have seen lots of solo female travelers, lots of women alone on the Greyhound bus. And I just want to go ahead and first off say that I have never seen any of them come to any real, physical harm. All these trips I've taken all across the U.S. on the Greyhound bus, countless days and hours, never seen any women traveling alone come to any real physical harm. I will say, however, that just like anywhere else, unfortunately, in, the society and the world we live in, there were some instances where I did see some things like heckling, or men saying things they shouldn't say, or, men looking at them, in manners that I didn't totally agree with. If you're a woman out there, you know the types of things I'm talking about. These things will happen from time to time on the Greyhound bus, just because, it's the world we live in. And also, to be honest, when you're riding on the Greyhound bus, and I say this being a frequent Greyhound bus rider, you're not always going to come into contact with, the highest levels of society. If to put it, kind of gently, you're gonna run into some people who may not have, the same manners or the same ideals on how to treat women as, some people you might run into on other forms of transportation. So while I don't think the Greyhound bus is unsafe from a physical standpoint, just be aware, if you are a woman who's thinking about traveling by yourself on Greyhound, there might be some times when you might feel a little uncomfortable, but I think you will definitely get to your destination safely. No one's really going to do any physical harm to you. That being said, I still think there are some, common sense things that I would or wouldn't do if I was a woman traveling by myself on the Greyhound bus. A lot of these apply to, men as well. Some of them are specifically women. But, the first thing I would do is I wouldn't dress like my best. I wouldn't dress to impress. Now, I know, some women, whenever they leave the house, they want to be looking their best, dressed to the nines, whatever. Wouldn't do that on Greyhound, because if you do that on Greyhound, you're going to attract attention to yourself, and the last thing you want on the Greyhound bus is attention. So I wouldn't wear a lot of makeup. I wouldn't wear the nice outfits. I definitely wouldn't wear outfits that kind of show off, your assets. If you know what I'm talking about. Just kind of jeans and a t-shirt, and don't even brush your hair. I don't know. No, I'm not saying, be just totally nasty, but I definitely wouldn't, be dressed up, attracting attention. You basically just kind of want to blend in with everybody else on the bus. And, most people on the Greyhound bus are not in their Sunday best. So just, wear normal clothes. Don't stand out from the crowd. Another tip, I would, when you're at the Greyhound bus station, and this is a tip that applies to everyone, if you have long layovers at a Greyhound bus station, you're tempted to go outside, walk around. If it's in the daytime and you think the Greyhound bus station is in a safe area, if you're at one of the 3 Greyhound bus stations that are in a safe area, go for it, whatever. But if it's nighttime, or if it's not a nice area, maybe stand outside. If you smoke a cigarette, talk to someone outside. But as far as roaming around the station, outside the station, too far in the surrounding areas, I wouldn't do it. I can firsthand attest to the fact that, bad things can happen when you do that. I've never had them really happen to me, but there's been times when I could see that someone was aiming to try to maybe do something bad to me, and I've talk to people who have been robbed, things like that. So if you are traveling by yourself as a female, I wouldn't recommend too much walking around at night outside the Greyhound bus stations. That's really where the worst things will happen to you on the Greyhound bus, is because once you walk outside that station, you're away from kind of, the Greyhound bubble, which isn't all that, terribly secure in the first place, but at least you have Greyhound employees that'll look out for you. You have other passengers that'll look out for you. Some of the stations have security, so while you're in the station, you have all that. As soon as you walk outside, all that's gone. You're on your own. And there are people who, believe it or not, hang around the Greyhound bus station looking for people to rob, assault, rape, who knows what, because they know you're in an unfamiliar area. They know you don't, know anybody. You're very vulnerable. Stay inside the station. Because, and this is something I try to tell people. I think a lot of times when people think about the Greyhound bus, they feel like the bad stuff happens on the bus. The bad stuff really doesn't happen on the bus. Once you're on the bus, there's tons of people around. Even though people try to make it seem like everyone who rides Greyhound, even I sometimes, like I said earlier, may not be like the highest levels of society. There are still like a lot of good people on the Greyhound bus. There's just some bad people mixed in. Maybe more bad people mixed in than on other types of transportation. But people on the bus are not going to let someone do something bad to you while they're sitting there watching. There's 30 to 50 other people on the bus. They're not going to let somebody assault you while they're right there watching. So while you're on the bus, you're typically okay. So like I said, at the station, be careful. And also when the bus stops for like food breaks, things like that, don't wander too far away from the bus. Go in, get you something to eat, use the bathroom, things like that. But I wouldn't wander too far away from the bus. Once again, unfamiliar area. You don't know where you're at. And people could be lying in wait to try to do something to you. Not to mention you might, miss the bus if you don't get back in time. So like I said, just common sense stuff, stuff that you use in everyday life, use when you're on the Greyhound bus. Don't talk too much to strangers, people you sit next to. You might, people are quick to say, hey, where are you going? What are you doing when you get there? You don't have to answer. I'll a lot of times tell people where I'm going, but I won't really tell them, what I'm doing. Or I might tell them the state I'm going to, but I won't tell them my final destination. Things like that. Just, I don't give people too much information. If I know when I leave, I'm going to be going to a certain hotel or something like that, I don't tell people that. I just I'm very vague. If I do tell stories, it's about stuff that has nothing to do with, where I'm going, things like that. Definitely if you are a female, there might be some guys who offer you a ride when you get to your final destination. I want to hang out when you get to your final destination. Be very leery of that. Just because someone seems very, nice on the bus, you don't really know what their motives are. So, don't share too much information. Definitely don't accept a ride from anyone you just met on the bus. I mean, it's up to you. You're your own person. You're your own woman. If you meet somebody and you feel like they're safe, okay. But just keep in mind that there are people out there who ride the Greyhound bus, and if they see an opportunity to take advantage of a female by herself that they think is vulnerable, they might take it. So, just keep that in mind. I also recommend, and this is for everyone as well, having a ride ready when you get to the Greyhound bus station. Hopefully have someone coming to pick you up, call them, make sure they're there, let them know if the bus is going to be late so that they can, not just be sitting there waiting. That's a big thing on Greyhound. Just keep them informed so that when the bus gets there, they're actually there. They haven't been sitting there 2 hours and they finally said, screw it, I'm leaving. Or if you don't have a ride, have the Uber app, have the Lyft app, call the cab company, have something set up so that as soon as you get there, you can get a ride, get out of there. Like I mentioned earlier, you really don't want to hang around the Greyhound bus station, especially when it's your final destination. You don't want to be standing outside the station with your luggage too long, looking around. That lets people know you're by yourself, waiting, going somewhere. Another big thing is sometimes it's tempting to be like, oh, I looked on Google Maps or, MapQuest, whatever, and they said there's a bus that is right by the Greyhound bus station that'll take me to wherever I need to go, grandma's house, my motel, my hostel, whatever. Just kind of be leery of this. You don't know what the public transportation might be like in that city. It could be pretty ghetto. I've had this happen before. I was like, oh, I'll just take the public transportation. And when I got there, I was like, oh, no, not happening. Ends up calling an Uber. Uber is typically, $5 to $10 to where you need to go. Don't risk it. Public transportation. Don't think, oh, I'll just walk. Wherever I'm going is right down the road. These are the type of things that get you in trouble. Even if it costs you a little more money, just get a ride. Pay for a ride. And just when you're in unfamiliar cities, don't risk your safety trying to save a few bucks. So, just to recap, I feel like the Greyhound bus is safe for females traveling alone. Like I said, I've never seen anything physically bad happen. Just be wary of the fact that, you might get, guys say something. Hopefully you won't get a guy sitting next to you that's kind of, a little too leaning on you, touchy-feely, things like that. If things like that happen, let the bus driver know, let a Greyhound employee know, say something to someone sitting around you. They'll get that person separated from you or thrown off the bus. I don't see that happen a lot either. It's usually just kind of guys heckling, saying different things. And a lot of times it is the women that are dressed up real nice, the best outfits, full makeup on. And you got guys who've been sitting on this bus for, 12 hours. They got nothing else to look at. Not to mention, you might have guys who are fresh out of prison on the bus. They haven't seen a woman in 5 years. Yeah, they might say something. So, like I said, common sense things, the same things that as a female, unfortunately, you have to look out for in your everyday life. Same things you're going to have to look out for in the Greyhound bus, maybe to, a slightly higher degree on the Greyhound bus, but don't think it'll be a problem. You should get to your destination safely. Greyhound's not as bad as you might have heard. Bad things have happened in the past, but for the millions of people that go through Greyhound on a daily, weekly basis, very few people, very few women ever come into, any kind of physical harm, and if they do, it's usually just like a crazy person. Something that could have happened to anyone, could have happened anywhere. So, I'm Tim, the Greyhound Guru. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment box below. Check out the description box for more of my videos. You can stay in touch with me on social media for more Greyhound news, Greyhound promo codes, all kind of things like that. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to y'all later.